Good morning. Welcome to episode 35 of Gaga Knits. My name's Anita and I live in South Wales in the UK, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Anita Bulb, and show notes can be found in the description box below. If you watched my Vlogmas, you'll remember me saying that Martin had a sore throat and that he would probably pass it on to me for Christmas, and he has. It struck on Boxing Day. By Boxing Day evening I'd nearly lost my voice, but it's coming back a bit now, so I have got a cup of tea with me to keep my throat lubricated. Proud to be a knitter. A present from Jodie and Matthew. So this morning I'm going through my patterns and my yarn stash because I have been following Angela from Yarn and Yarns. She's doing her 12 cast-ons of Christmas, and she's on about, I think she's on number 7 now, and she casts on 12 projects through the Christmas period to work on through the year, and she's asked people what they're doing and are they casting on. Some people are casting on 12, and I have said I couldn't cast on 12 things because I'd be far too stressed, plus I haven't got enough needles and project bags and things like that to manage 12. But what I thought I would do to join in is I will line up 12 projects. I will make a list, and some of them aren't going to be cast-ons because there are at least 2 cross stitches I know I want to do. One I want to finish off and one I want to start, and I want to finish my projects that are already whips, so they're going to be in my 12, and some new ones as well. So I'm just going to go through. Most of my patterns are in here, and some of my projects that are already on the go are there, and I brought my little scales up because I want to weigh my yarn ball to see how much I've got. This is 4-ply odds and ends because I am going to make a Flax Light sweater exactly like Davina made of little workroom crafts out of her scraps, and I think Tina, who is no longer Simply in Stitches, she's now Fancy Lady Cross Stitch. I'll put her new YouTube channel here. So we're going to make flax lights with yarn balls, and I'm going to weigh this to see if I've got enough, and if I haven't I can still start it and keep adding because I've got some odds and ends to add to this already. So I'm going to get on with that, and I will let you know how I get on later. That was hard work, and I have made a bit of a mess. So I've got 12 projects, and actually I didn't realise, I was thinking 12 projects would stress me out, but in my mind I've already got more than that, and I just hadn't realised. Some were from last year which I planned to do, so some of those have been put on the back burner. I've taken the cross stitch ones out because they're not cast-ons, and well, that's not the real reason. The real reason is I didn't have enough room for my 12 if I had those in, so I've already had to dismiss a few just for 12. I'm back. It's Monday now. I was recording yesterday to tell you about my 12 projects, and the family arrived because they all came for a late lunch, and I didn't realise the time, and they all arrived, and then by the time everyone had left it got dark, so I decided to leave it there for yesterday. I have got hat hair today because we've just been out walking Charlie. It's a lovely day, and I thought at the end of this video I can put walkies with Charlie for the last time in 2019. I've got my 12 projects, and originally yesterday when I got interrupted I was going to talk through each of them, but I think that would be a bit boring, so I've taken a photo of each one and written on the picture what project it is, and I'm just going to insert the 12 here. And what I thought I'd do is chat about them as I worked on them through 2020. Right, I'm off for a cup of tea with Martin now, and I shall come back and discuss my New Year's resolutions with you. Are you doing anything? I like to do a couple of New Year's resolutions just because I love the beginning of a new year. It's like the first day in school where you've got all brand new books. So I've got new diaries and new notebooks and a new calendar, and it's nice just to have a couple of resolutions to focus on, and mine are quite simple this year, so I shall chat about those. And I'd be interested to hear what you are planning for 2020, whether it's resolutions or just things you think 2020 I'm going to do whatever. If you could put a comment, that'd be interesting. Find out what everyone else is up to. Anyway, off for my cup of tea. I'll see you later. I decided to come and have my cup of tea with you instead, because I only see you once a month and Martin can see me anytime. I'm back to my Merry Christmas mug because I've taken the Christmas tree down today. So I love Christmas, but as soon as Christmas Day is over, I want to take everything down. But because everyone was coming over for lunch yesterday, I kept all the decorations up. But I've taken all the cards down this morning. I've dismantled the tree. I'm making the most of wearing my Christmas sweatshirt. I wore that yesterday as well. It was nice and warm to walk the dog. And I'll wash all these Christmassy clothes and things, put them all away ready for next year. So I'm just making the most of it for the last few days. Oh, sorry, I think I slurped then. So anyway, right, so I've done my 12 projects and I wanted to talk about my New Year's resolutions. At the moment, I keep my podcast notes in this book. So here are today's episode. Bit of a mess, but still. So my New Year's resolutions this year, 2020, so next year really, 2020, I am going to do no shopping on the internet. No shopping of any kind. So I'm not going to have my groceries delivered, and I'm not going to buy yarn or fabric or presents for people or anything. I'm not going to jump onto Amazon every 5 minutes, and I'm not going to even buy a Kindle book. I'm going to have to go to Waterstones or Smith's or charity shop, anywhere. I'm just going to buy my books that way. I'm just going to try really hard not to go on the internet for shopping, and we'll see how I do. And sometimes I'm not a great shopper. I don't like shopping for food or clothes. I like it for fabric and crafty things. But sometimes I go to a shop because I think I should support the local shops or support just bricks and mortar shops, and I can't find what I'm looking for, and they say, you know, why don't you go on the internet and get it? And I think, because I've come to your shop. But anyway, no internet. So you can come on my journey with that to see how well I do. My second resolution is to try and stick to a budget. So I've gone on to moneysavingexpert.com, and there's a budget planner there, and you can put everything that you could possibly think of that you spend money on into this planner, and then at the end make sure that you earn enough to cover all those things. And I've done this before. I quite enjoy it. It's just a bit of a challenge. I like doing it. And I bought this purse, and it's from an Etsy shop. I kept the card, fortunately, jimmypickles.etsy.com, And I think it must be American because the purse I got is called Coupon Purse Organizer, because inside you've got these tabs and then you can write whatever you want on them, and there's lots of them. They'll go back further than that. And the idea is, once you've done your budget plan and you've worked out how much money you can spend on different sections of your life that you like, so for example, groceries, just sort of pocket money, meals out, clothes, crafts, haircuts, holidays, trips, birthdays, Christmas, they're my ones. And then you draw out the cash every month that you have designated for those different items, and you put the cash in the slots in here, and that is all you are allowed to spend on that section each month. So if, for example, I run out of grocery money, but I've got money in my meals out section, you're not allowed to swap it across, because the whole idea is training yourself to stick within your budget. And I quite like the idea of that, so I'm going to give that a go as well. And also, I usually have a savings account, and last year I didn't bother because the savings interest rates were so rubbish. I just kept it in my current account, but I like to keep it separate, and I like to see it mount up. I think it started from when I was a child, and we used to have the post office savings books, and you'd go in and put your pocket money in, and they would write it in and it would add up. I just like that. So I'm going to open a new savings account, even though I know the interest rates are rubbish. And I'm also going to save my £2 coins in a very nice money box. Oh, I shall show you. And I have this little money box to help if I'm here. So I'm going to keep all my £2 coins in it. I think I've just got coppers and that in there at the moment. And I'm also going to save 1p, 2p, 5p and 10 pences for Harry and Jack, and keep them all together. And then they both have bank accounts in the NatWest Bank, which is a British bank. And my local branch has one of those machines that you put all the coins in and it counts them all up, and it gives you a receipt with that amount of money on, so that shows you the amount of money that you've put through this machine, but you can only then bank it into your NatWest bank account. So I thought I will do that for them. I don't know if the bank will split the amount on the receipt between two accounts, but if they don't, I'll have to try and either take it in turns, so each time, well, anyway, I'll sort that out, but that's always a bit fun. And Harry likes putting the coins in the machine, and the machine eats them all up and gives him a receipt. I think it's good for children to learn about saving. So they are my three main New Year's resolutions. Well, my three only resolutions: no shopping on the internet, stick to a budget, and save. So we'll see how we go. I think I better have some more tea. Now, if you were following along with my Vlogmas, you will know that I love a list. And my family and friends obviously know I like to make lists, and I like books, and I like writing things in my book. So I had a few books for Christmas, notebooks and things like that. And I thought I would just go through a few with you. Now, one I had already, it wasn't for Christmas, but I started doing because I was watching, a long time ago, I was watching Zoe of Pins and Needles podcast, and she recommended a book on Kindle, and I think you can only get it on Kindle, and it's called The Sewing Machine by Natalie Fergie, and it was a really good book. I recommend it, and I shall, obviously in the notes, I'll put all the names of things as well, so you don't have to remember it. But in there, one of the characters, obviously like sewing, because it's called The Sewing Machine, and she had a book, a little notebook, and in it she wrote down all her projects. So I thought I'd start doing it. So for example, I did the Margot pyjamas. I think this was the second thing that I'd ever sewn clothes wise. I had made a little top I think was my very first thing that isn't in here because I did that before I read this book. But this is, so it's a little catalogue now of the fabric I used and the pattern and when I completed it and who it was for and things like that. And I thought it would be quite interesting. And then I did, like further on, I did the scuba fabric. I'd never used that before, and it was a tutorial from the Stitch Sisters. I made a dress there out of scuba fabric for Josie. And that was my Colette Moneta dress, the Christmas fabric that I made that. That was in 2017, because time flies. You don't realise how long ago you made things. And I've sort of fallen a little bit by the wayside. I haven't put everything in there, but I shall try and go back and have a look. That's the beauty of Instagram, because you put pictures on Instagram and obviously it records the dates. So I'm going to keep going with that one. So I liked that, and I'm going to start in 2020 keeping a note of my knitting projects, not just on Ravelry. I'm going to do a proper book. Now, this book, or the dust jacket I had from Ellie of CraftHouseMagic, she makes these, and in it was a hardback book, but I've swapped it out for a bendy, soft covered one because I think it's more tactile and more in keeping with the fabric. It's nice and squidgy, and I haven't got anything in it yet, but I'm going to keep my knitting projects in there and keep notes of them, because I do tend to write little notes in the project bag when I'm knitting something. For example, if I'm doing a sleeve and it says 4 centimeters of cuff, I will make a note of how many rows that is on the first one, to do the same on the second, things like that. But I tend to throw them away at the end, and then if I go back to that project to do it again for someone else, it would have been handy if I could look back on my notes. So I'm going to do that. I don't really use Ravelry for that. I do try and put the odd note in, but it's more whether I found the pattern easy to follow and things, just in case somebody else looks on my notes for tips, because I tend to do that if I'm looking at a pattern, to see if someone else has done it and what they thought. So obviously no one's going to be able to read that, but that'll be for me. And then Jodie and Matthew got me this for Christmas, Going Gaga. And I thought I would put my podcast notes in there, since it's Gaga Knits, from 2020 onwards. So there was that. And my dad and stepmom got me this journal, Hurrah for Gin journal. And I've tweaked it slightly because it's ring bound. It had these tabs, so things for you to do. I don't know if you can read those. To do today, to do tomorrow, this week, this month, someday. And I thought, rather than use them for that, I'm going to use this for things I need to do around the house, DIY wise, and household tasks, and also upcycling things. So instead I turned them round. I took it all out because it was bound, and turned them the other way and wrote my own tabs. And it's upstairs, downstairs, outbuildings, garden, and someday. Someday's my wish list, like a new conservatory all along the back of the house would be lovely. So I'm going to do household tasks on the front, so the cleaning and things like that, and the inside then decorating and upcycling and all those sorts of things. So that's going to be kept in this one. I think 2020 is a nice round number, so it's perfect to get all these projects and journals and things up and running. And the very last one is this lovely book that my friend Paula gave me for Christmas, and it's a scrapbook. And what I thought I would do, there was a couple of things I thought I might use it for, but then I decided I'm going to use it for journaling my trips and travels, and there's a couple of craft events I want to go to. I'm also going to visit my cousin in Canada in July, and any trips or adventures I'm going to try and take one or two snapshots and maybe some tickets or various things and some little notes, and I'm going to put them in there. When the children were small, I used to do that with them because before they could write and read that well themselves, so I used to take a photo if we went somewhere, and then they would tell me in their own words about what they remembered, what they liked about our holiday, for example, and then I'd write it in this scrapbook. So it was their words, but I'd written it, and they're quite nice to keep. So I like looking back on things like that. I am more of a, like, it's 2020 is coming, look forward rather than reflect back. I know people have done their sort of make nines and put pictures up of what they've made this year, so 2019, and it is interesting, but I like to look forward rather than back. I do reminisce, but I just like to look forward. So those are my plans for 2020. And like I say, I'll be interested to hear what you have planned. This is the last Monday in December of 2019, so I won't see you now until 2020, end of January 2020. So have a lovely New Year's, whatever you're doing, whether you celebrate quietly or with friends, family, go out, whatever you're doing, have a lovely time, and I shall see you all next year. Bye.